Good evening and welcome to the Buck Stops here this Friday night. Our focus tonight on domestic politics and diplomacy and whether the Prime Minister's planned visit to Colombo for the Commonwealth Heads of Government Summit will take place or not in the face of stiff opposition not only from regional Tamil Nadu parties but also the Congress party stalwarts from the state like Finance Minister Chidambaram, who sources say has opposed the visit. While the Foreign Ministry and senior government officials feel not going will send out the wrong signal about what India's foreign policy priorities are, they concede the decision will now be a political one. India voted against Sri Lanka in a US-sponsored resolution at the Human Rights Council in March this year. It was seen as a sign of betrayal by Colombo. Now, with questions over his attendance at the first Commonwealth summit Sri Lanka is hosting, there's more than domestic politics that will have to be considered as the Rajapakse government raises the China bogey and continues warming up to Beijing. It's also threatened to move closer to Pakistan as well if the Prime Minister downgrades India's presence at the Commonwealth. That is the story we are discussing tonight on the Buck Stops here, but we're also being joined by my colleague Shweta Rajpal Kohli. Shweta, of course, the Sensex breaking records every single day. Is this a turnaround for the economy?
Well, clearly it is. Diwali Dhamaka on the Lal Street. The Sensex creating history today, hitting a lifetime high. But the big question remains, is this rally going to last? And is the stock market reflecting the realities of the economy? Can we safely say the worst is over for the economy? That's coming up later on the show. But for now, it's over to Maya.
Right, thanks a lot, Shweta. Well, the big story we're tracking, foreign policy and domestic politics, as the Prime Minister's attendance at the Commonwealth Summit is the big question. Aanchal Vora speaks to ordinary Sri Lankans on what they think the right answer should be and why.
Sri Lanka getting ready to host Commonwealth leaders just 2 weeks from now. A massive multilateral summit that the country hopes will also help in its international branding, as the Rajapaksa government still reels under charges of massive human rights violations against Tamils in the last phases of the war against the LTTE that ended in 2009. We meet Ranjan, a Tamil boy from tea country. He says his life has changed since the war ended.
Yeah, that time is a war time, no? Sri Lanka, but that time very difficult to stay. We can't travel anywhere. But now everything is okay.
Tamils like him are being treated with less suspicion, he says. Life has improved as more jobs are now available to them. People like Ranjan want the Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh to keep his date with the Commonwealth Summit, in spite of domestic political pressures from Tamil Nadu's top political parties and politicians. But Ranjan is one of the lucky ones. Another young Tamil boy, Jagat, all of 21 years old, has been missing for the last 3 years. His inconsolable mother says he was picked up in 2010 by unknown men in a white van and hasn't surfaced since. She wants Dr. Manmohan Singh to visit Colombo only if he can take up the issue of widespread rights violations of the Tamils. Her story is not unique, nor does it exclude Sinhalese who've spoken out against the government. Prageet Eknalkoda, a Sinhalese cartoonist and political commentator, has also been missing since 2010.
Prajatantravadiya rakina යහපත් සමාජයක්පත් ගැන හීන දකින්න කිසිම කෙනෙකුට එන්න සුදුසු තැනක් නෙමෙයි.
The government denies all charges that it had any role in Prageet's abduction and points the finger to an organized group but doesn't give out a name.
New ports and new highways are rising Sri Lanka. This is what the Sri Lankan government would like the world to see. But even though the guns have been silenced, the peace is deafening for hundreds, perhaps even thousands of those who are still searching for their loved ones. And they're waiting to see how loudly will the Commonwealth leaders and especially the Indian Prime Minister will take this up in the Commonwealth meet. Reporting from Colombo in Sri Lanka, Anchal Vora, NDTV.
Well, joining me to discuss the links between domestic policy and foreign policy now in the studio with me, Dr. Narayansamy for the BJP, from the DMK in Chennai, KS Radhakrishnan, and from the Congress, Dr. Sudarshan Nachappan, the Minister of State for Commerce and Industry. Mr. Nachappan, I'm going to come to you first because they say that the decision now really rests with the Congress as a political one. Do you think the Prime Minister is going to go himself, given the kind of pressure he's seeing from Tamil Nadu?
Actually, it is in the process of the consultation. Whenever we are taking the issues at the national level, we have to get the opinion from various spectrum of the people. And the Honorable Prime Minister is getting all sorts of the feeding from various sources. Therefore, he will finally take up the issue at the national interest, but at the same time, he will protect the emotions of the Tamil people who are living in Tamil Nadu and also in the Sri Lanka. That was the assurance given by the Honorable Prime Minister when he replied to the leader of the opposition in Tamil Nadu.
Okay, what do you make of the fact that we're being told today that the Finance Minister P. Chidambaram has also said that the Prime Minister should not go himself? It doesn't matter if he sends another representative, but he should not go himself. Divisions within the Congress over this?
No, ordinarily the Congress party is a democratic party. It allows the members to air their views and they collect the information from various members of the cabinet and also the Congress leaders before taking a decision.
Okay.
Therefore, he has said his opinion. Similarly, everybody is having their opinion. Finally, Honorable Prime Minister will take up the issue according to the need of the nation.
Okay.
Diplomacy is based on the nation's interest.
Right. All right. Well, let's take this also to the DMK. They were one of the first parties from Tamil Nadu to raise this concern over the Prime Minister going to Sri Lanka. Mr. Radhakrishnan, if I can ask you, the Sri Lanka visit for the Commonwealth is a multilateral summit. It's less about Sri Lanka and more about the Commonwealth. So, given the fact that the Prime Minister has said the decision will be taken, keeping in mind or everybody's interests concerned, do you think that he really should not go? Could this be used as a way of also sort of pushing for the Tamil cause and engaging with Sri Lanka on very important issues?
Madam, you know, 8 months back, the venue of Swagam should not be there in Colombo. That is our demand. Now they decided to conduct this Swagam conference in Colombo. Now our demand, our leader demand, Teso demand, our leader Kalanyar demand, don't go there. Indian government representative and the leadership of Prime Minister or any representative. That is it's our demand. That is our already written in letter. What Mr. Nachappan told, Prime Minister replied to our leader. We will consult, we will take action as per feelings of Tamilians from Tamil Nadu. So, actually, everyone here, all political party, all Tamilians, India should not participate in Swagam Conference Colombo because, you know, UNHRC report and Dublin these people's tribunal report, both are is accused. The international court, he have to stand before international inquiry. This is Rajapakse.
Okay.
Now he will get, certainly he will get immunity.